Are you thinking about actually doing a specific podcast for yourself? Or is it more what you're doing on LinkedIn Live at the moment?
Well, it's funny because when I work with clients, so my client base, I either work with organizations or I work with individuals. And the individuals tend to be people that are experts in their field. You know, they've been around for a while. They've got a book. They might be speaking on the topic. And I often say to them, you know, how do you prefer to create your content? And if people are comfortable doing video or they want to have a podcast, I always say to them, use LinkedIn Live, because then you've got this visual. You've got that particular, there's a piece of media you can repurpose, but you can download the audio and maybe turn that into a podcast. So if you have the vision of podcast first. Also, I've got another colleague who he's actually interviewed me for his podcast a year ago. It hasn't published it yet. He hasn't even started. So I don't know, he hasn't quite got there because I think he's overcomplicated it. And I said to him, why don't you use LinkedIn Live? Because you go live, it's live. There's no production. There's no, I'm not ready yet, and all the things. It actually just makes you do it.
When you say live, I know what you're saying, but how would this work in LinkedIn Live? Would both of these cameras have to be connected into the computer for LinkedIn to have both of us? Or is it easier just with one camera and you and I sitting next to each other talking?
Well, 2 cameras, I've not done that. That's a bit more complicated. I'm sure you can do it, but you'd have to be a techie person, so you'd probably be able to work out where to go. So
I'm just like you, Joe. Don't put too much confidence. I'm a writer.
I mean, people do lots of cool stuff. So it's about understanding the software that you need to make that happen. So the software I tend to use, it's called StreamYard. There's Stream Deck and there's StreamYard. Don't get them mixed up. But I use it because it's a one-stop shop platform. You plug in all your bits and pieces. It's all branded, and you just click the button and the display, and you're looking at your camera. I mean, and for the most part, I do it with people virtually. So I'm sitting here, you're sitting in your office somewhere else. So it's not this. Now, if you wanted to do this version, you'd obviously have to have your camera. So it's either the camera's, I don't know, wide, and we're both looking at the camera, because rather than looking at each other, we'd be looking at the audience, because it's not we're having a conversation with them, not us.
Sure. Okay.
So it's a different setup.
I'll look into that, because it sounds interesting. And you, what's the time limit on that? Is there a time limit?
That's a really good question. Is there a maximum? You could probably I've seen people do one-day events on live stream, and they've just handed over the banner to somebody else to take over. So,
but you need a live streaming platform to work with LinkedIn. LinkedIn don't have their own.
No, so it's not like Facebook or even Twitter or Instagram, where you can just go live on the platform. No, you can't. I suspect they'll be bringing that in, though, because it makes sense for them to have that ability. Yeah. But right now you have to use a third-party tool, which obviously costs money. There are free versions, but then you've got the branding of the platform.